Manaha mind, buddhi intelligence, mam unto me, eva surely, asyai you will attain, asamsayaha beyond a doubt.
Perfect. Can you sorry, what was your name again? I'm very bad in remembering names. What was your name again?
Suman, Suman.
Suman, can you read the translation for me, please?
Uh, Therefore, Arjuna, you you should always think of me in the form of Krishna. At the same time, carry out your prescribed during what?
Duties. Yep.
Yeah, with the activities dedicated to me and your mind intelligence fixed on me. You will. I don't know your head because I have in Nepali over here. That's
Okay,
why.
okay, not an. So it's written, therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me, your mind and your intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without a doubt. So, before we get in the verse, since you both
Actually, I suppose your head is blocking the screen too.
Oh, okay,
You are
okay.
on the screen as well.
Oh,
That's
just
why.
give me a second. I'll just try to reshare it then. Yep. Is that better?
Um. Yes. Yes. It is better. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Uh, Sorry, there was like this is a new account, so that's why there's all these minor errors going on. All right, not an issue. So, just to give you a little background for Suman and Sushil, uh, Bhagavad Gita is in this battlefield where Arjuna is about to fight against all of his brothers who are in the form of the Kaurav army and his enemies. They are basically fighting over the kingdom. If you read the Mahabharata, if you have any background understanding of Mahabharata, you'll know the entire backstory. But in the Bhagavad Gita specifically, in short, Arjun is fighting the Kaurav army, and when he's gets in the middle of the battlefield, he sees all of his brothers, his relatives, his uncles. Bhishma Pitama, who was his great grandfather, his guru Dronacharya, and when he sees all of them. All of a sudden, Arjuna gets very, tense. He gets worked up. His bow falls down from his hand, and he is like, now he's saying that why should I kill? Why should I fight? I don't want to fight this war, and it's right at the beginning of the war, just when the war is about to start. Arjun is saying all of this. Now for Arjun, his chariot driver is Supreme Lord Krishna, who takes the role of his chariot driver. Krishna says, I will not fight in the war, but since Arjuna was a great devotee and a great friend of Krishna said, I will become a chariot driver. Now Krishna is also Arjuna's very good friend. So when a friend sees another friend when he was in tense situation, when he's worried, when he's upset, when he's stressed out, the friend tries to encourage the friend. So then Krishna gives Arjuna the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, and all this while Arjuna was treating Krishna just as a friend. But when Krishna was giving him the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was realizing that oh, this is actually God, this is the Supreme Lord. Even if you see in the beginning, Arjuna makes some sarcastic remarks towards Krishna, like he's like, oh, you were like, Krishna tells him something that I've given this knowledge to the sun god, and and Arjuna says that you are so young, how can you live so many years ago? He didn't know that Krishna was God. But towards the end, like in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita, his entire attitude changes. You can, if you read the verse by verse, the translation, you'll see how Arjuna's attitude changes towards Krishna. He realizes that Krishna is the supreme personality of Lordhead. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he very nicely breaks down basically all the main doubts that Arjuna was facing. And what Krishna has done is he's used Arjuna as a medium, but actually all this knowledge is for us in present time, because Krishna, when he was speaking, his words were so powerful that it was true for eternity. It was the basis of this world. All the knowledge given in the Bhagavad Gita is can be practically used today. He has given that knowledge for us only. He's just used Arjuna as a medium. So this verse specifically is a very good verse, because I'm assuming, Suman, you're from Nepal, right?
Yeah, I'm from
Yep.
Nepal.
And I know Priya, you also Nepali? Yeah. And Sushil also, I
Bhutan.
think, yeah, I think Sushil also is
Yes,
Nepali.
I'm
Correct?
from Nepal.
Sorry?
I'm also from Nepal.
Yes, you also from Nepal, correct. So, I'm from India, and an issue that these days, which has got in like the current generation, it's got into the mindset that if anybody is becoming religious, anybody is becoming getting into spirituality, for some reason, everybody starts thinking that this person now has to give up everything. He has to become a sadhu. He has to he has to shave his head and give up all his wealth and his job, stop working, stop trying to think about money, simply sit in the Himalayas and do tapasya and all of that. And a lot of Indian like parents, when they see that their child is getting into spirituality, reading Gita, trying becoming religious has become a very bad term these days. People think religious means that he's going to give up everything and just escape from hard work, but that is a very wrong connotation, and Krishna in this verse has very nicely broken this down. So tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, that means at all times, mam anushmara yudhya cha, he says remember me while fighting. Now again Krishna is trying to explain to Arjuna that what is karam yoga. Karam yoga, we have a wrong understanding of what karam yoga is. uh, let's see, Suman, what do you think karma yoga is? What is karma according to you? What is your understanding of karma?
I think work.
Work, correct. Priya, what do you think about karma?
Karma is the fruit of our action.
Root of our action. Very good. So karma, literally the word karma in Sanskrit, when you translate to English, it means action. Karma means action. Now karma yog means unite. Yog means comes from a word yuj. Yuj means union. Now union between what? Union between us, the living entity, the Atma, with Bhagwan, with God. So, Karma Yoga is how to basically unite or align our actions with God, with the will of God. So, when Arjuna initially tells Krishna that I don't want to fight this war, I don't want to kill them, Krishna very clearly he thinks starts telling Arjuna, he starts telling Krishna that I'll give up this war, I'll become a tapasvi and I'll go to the Himalayas, I'll become a saint. I don't want to fight this war. Krishna immediately chastises Arjuna and he tells him that no, you don't fight for yourself. You fight because it is as a duty to me. I am instructing you to fight. Do it for the will of God. Do it to align yourself with God. Now, how can we use this practically in our life? Before, if you see a couple of verses before, just to give you like some more context on what has happened. So antakale chamam eva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra samsaya, which means that basically Krishna, to give comfort to Arjun, to give him, Arjun is worried that Krishna, I will kill so many people. Imagine the kind of karma, imagine the kind of sinful reactions I'll get, because everybody knows whatever action you do, there's an reaction back to it. So he said, if I murder somebody, if I kill somebody, I'll have so much negative karma, I'll have so much blood on my hands, so I don't think it's right for me to fight. Now, Krishna, he explains to Arjuna that if you kill somebody out of your own personal desire is bad, but if you're doing it as a duty, because he was a Kshatriya, a army man, Mahabharata was not like a war that we see in today's time. Mahabharata was a war built for religiosity. It was a Kaurav army that were irreligious, demonic type people, and there were the Pandavas who stood for dharma, who stood for righteousness, who stood for religiosity. So basically, the Mahabharata was a great war for religion, for the protection of dharma, protection of religiosity. So Krishna tells Arjuna, he gives assurance to Arjuna that even if you kill everybody in this war, you will not get any sort of karma because you're doing it and as per my instruction, for my as per my instruction, as a duty to God. You're not doing it for yourself. And then he says you don't worry about getting negative karma and getting sinful reaction. He says that since I am fighting in this war, since it's happening under my instruction, whoever quits his body remembering me alone once at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Now, to put it in simple terms, because this is very complicated, but in simple terms, everybody knows this. If you do bad things as per the scriptures, you go to hellish planets. If you do good, pious activities, you go to heavenly planets. And what people are trying to achieve is neither of them are permanent, all of them are temporary. If you go to heavenly planets or hellish planets, both of them, once your quota is over, your karma quota is over, you've finished your deed, you will immediately come back to this earth platform. In earth platform, it gives you an opportunity, and depending on your action, you choose your next life. In the next life, where are you going to transmigrate? But however, that is still birth and rebirth. If you want to end the cycle of birth and rebirth, you need to attain God. That is our original essence, our uh, our true identity, our true nature. Jiva Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das, that everybody is eternal servitor of God. That is our true nature. When we desire to enjoy alone, we come into this material world, and then based on our actions, we either go to heavenly planets or hellish planets. But one who remembers God and dedicates his life to God, completely absorbed in the thoughts of God, he at the end of his life is transmigrated. He's not have to, be born and reborn again. He goes back to God. So he tells, now the reason why Mahabharata is such a great war is, since Krishna was in that war, anybody who basically even looks at Krishna at the time of death, whatever the last thought you have, that's the kind of body you get next. So that is what is explained in our scriptures. We collect a bunch of desires in this lifetime, and then whatever is our last thought at the time of death, we get a new body. It's very instantly. But how do we know what our last thought is? It is very simple. Whatever we have been thinking throughout our lifetime, our last thought is going to be somewhat like that. For example, if somebody is always into, meat eating and always thinking about, sadistic thoughts, evil thoughts, at the time of death, those, it's not like all of a sudden he'll become very pious. That same thought will come up to him, and then based on that, he will get a suitable body. If he loves meat eating, he'll get an animal type body that is more suitable for his desires. Similarly, if somebody remembers God at the time of death, he does darshan of God at the time of death, he has the name of God on his tongue at the time of death, he immediately attains Godhead. So each and every soldier in the Mahabharata got liberated. How? Because they saw Krishna at the time of death. So without getting too diverted, Krishna basically tells Arjun that at the time of death, whoever quits his body remembering me, he will attain me. So he tells Arjun that you don't give up fighting, you fight, and remembering me, you fight. You do this duty while doing smaran of me, while remembering me, while you basically fighting this war. And in your mind, you should tell yourself, I'm doing this as a duty to Krishna, because Krishna wants me to do this. In that way, even if you die in this war, you're dying absorbed in my thought, and you will not get any sinful reaction, because any activity that is linked to Krishna becomes immediately comes to the spiritual platform. It goes beyond negative and positive karma. So now let's get into the purport. Priya, can you just read the whole thing? It's a very small purport, so can you just read the whole thing?
Okay. This instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, will be transferred to the supreme planet Krishna Loka without a doubt.
Correct. So what's being said is that now Arjuna feels very happy. He thinks that, Areva, very nice. I will fight this war. I mean, I don't even need to fight this war. Only if I remember God at the time of death, I will automatically attain liberation. So, what's the point of even fighting? Arjuna gets into a state of joy. He thinks that this is very convenient for me. I don't need to actually do anything. I can just simply remember God. I can simply chant the name of God. And at the time of death, I'll easily achieve God. Why do I need to fight this war? Why do I need to go through so much effort? And that's what a lot of us also think when we initially hear about this Krishna consciousness. And when people tell you that by chanting Hare Krishna you simply attain Godhead, we immediately get very lazy. We think that this is a very convenient environment for us. We can simply just sit and do nothing and say Hare Krishna, and at the time of death, if we can say Hare Krishna, we are sorted. And before that, we can do whatever we feel like. But that is when Krishna tells him this, that Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu, therefore, remember me, Mam Anusmara Yudhya. Yudhya means remember me and go on fighting. He doesn't tell Arjuna to stop fighting and simply just sit and think about Krishna. He's not telling him that. He says, go on fighting, surrender your mind and intelligence to me, and you will attain me without a doubt. Now, how do we put this in our practical lives? Krishna is basically telling us, all the living entities, that we should not give up all our activities, give up our job, give up our responsibilities, give up our family, give up our education, and use this escapism route, this easy excuse that, oh, now I want to become religious, now I want to become spiritual. And if I'm spiritual, then hey, why do I need to work? If I'm spiritual, then why do I need to study? Forget all of that. That is all useless. That's waste of time. I simply will sit there, do nothing, think about God all the time, and at the end of my life, I will attain Godhead. I will be out of this. I will be Jivan Mukt. I will be free from this cycle of birth and death. But Krishna tells him, no, you continue your engagements with your mind and intelligence surrendered onto me, and then only if it's completely surrendered on Krishna, you will attain the supreme planet of Krishna. Now, basically, Krishna is talking about Karma Yoga and how we should go about our duties. All of us, when we are studying, when we are working, when we are doing any sort of activity, there's always some deep down desire why we are doing it. Nobody is studying blindly, nobody is doing a job blindly, everybody is doing it for a reason. For example, if you, Sushil, tomorrow your job says that I will not pay you, but you still come and work for me. You still do come every day, work for these many hours, but we will not give you a single dollar. Will you work for them at all? The next day you'll say like, Tata, bye bye. I don't care. Who the hell do you guys think you are? Nobody will. Nobody is doing any activity without any reason. That is what karam is. Every karam has a purpose behind it. Every action has a purpose behind it. That's why. Krishna is telling them that you don't give up the activity, you give up the purpose that you're doing it for. You don't do it for your own selfish desire. You do it as an activity for Krishna, as a service to Krishna. And once you do it as a service to Krishna, then naturally you will be absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. Every time you're performing an activity, when we go about our daily activities, we need to be absorbed in the thought of Krishna. We can turn spiritualize each and every of our activity by using it by as a method to service to Krishna. Now you might be thinking, I am studying this subject, I am working in a IT job, I'm working in some job which has nothing to do with religion or nothing to do with spirituality. How can I use it as service to Krishna? How can I how can I make this into a action that is dedicated to Krishna? That doesn't make sense to me. But Krishna then says, your mind and intelligence fixed on me. Now, what does that mean? That when every action that we do is powered through our intelligence, it's not like we just simply go around doing anything. Our intelligence, our desire gives us an indication that I desire this amount of money, I desire this, I want that. Your intelligence will, depending on the data you have collected throughout your life in school, on books, whatever data you have collected, your intelligence will use all of that data. Within seconds, it will go through years and years of memory that you've collected in your brain, and it will find a way to achieve your desire. Now, what Krishna is saying is, your mind and intelligence should be fixed on me. Now, your intelligence, whatever desire it has, it will work in a way to achieve that. That's what people are doing. People who want to, supposing, like you see serial killers, how smart they are, how intelligently they plan out all of that. That at this time I see this person, they will tie them in such a way that there's no fingerprints left. They do everything. So basically, what is happening? Their desire is evil, and their intelligence is working in such a way for helping them to achieve that evil intention that they have. So what Krishna is saying is, if your mind and your intelligence is fixed on me, whatever action you do will naturally be dedicated onto me. Now, if you're working, if you're a student, if you do it as a service to Krishna, that I will study, I will make a good living, I will serve my family. And why should I serve my family? Because Krishna has blessed me with a family. Krishna has blessed me. So many people don't have a family. So many people are orphans. Krishna has given me that blessing of giving me such a nice family. I will study hard, I will work hard, I will earn money, and I will provide for my family. And I will not do this for my own selfish desire. I will do this as a service to Krishna. In that way, two things happen. First, that activity you're doing is free of sin, because now you're not doing it with a selfish intent. You're not doing it for any material desire. You're doing it as a duty to Krishna. And second, your mind is always absorbed in the thought of Krishna. When you do a good activity, like people who do charity, people who feed the poor, deep down they have that sense of happiness. They feel very blissful after doing it. Have you ever done it? When you have done a selfish deed where you've done something without any personal agenda, you've just done it for a service to God, where you know that this, I'm doing something where I have nothing to gain, but the other person will feel happy. That's I'm doing it selflessly. Like a mother, selflessly she looks after the child. It's a loving relationship. She's nothing to gain. If she feeds the child, she feels like her hunger is satisfied. Just like that, we should also perform. So, Suman, have you ever, can you share one experience where you've done any activity selflessly without any selfish intent for something else? Like maybe done a charity, maybe helped out a friend, maybe helped out a family member. Anything you'd like to share?
So far understood, I can't remember anything.
What about Priya? Do you remember anything? Also, who's the Hare Krishna? I see one more guy who's Zoom user. Can you turn on your camera, please, Prabhu? It's actually a mandate to turn on the camera. So if you could just turn on your camera and tell me your name, because I only see Zoom user written. Hare Krishna. Uh,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What's your name, Prabhu?
Please, Kapendra Tripatari.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
My name is Kapendra.
Are you at your workplace or something like that?
Yeah. Sorry for that. I
Okay,
have
okay,
work
okay.
pressure.
Not an issue. If it's not possible for you, you can then
Yeah,
turn off your camera. If you're at
yeah,
work,
I'm
it's
at work.
completely
So
fine.
I will listen. I will listen. So
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
turn
sure.
off the camera. Sorry
You
for
can,
that.
yeah, no, not an issue at all. A lot of people have work today. Not an issue. You can listen. We'll continue
Yeah,
in the
thank you,
class.
thank you, thank
All
you so
right,
much.
thank you. Hare Krishna. So yeah, um, okay, Priya, yes, you were going to tell us about an selfless deed that you did.
Uh, I can't quite remember anything at the moment, but um, whenever people ask for any help, like if they need any help, so and if I can provide them with that one, I'll not say no to them. I'll just help them without anything, without expecting anything in return, just to help them. So yeah, I can only remember that one, but not it, like exactly the particular thing that I can't remember
Correct,
that, but
correct,
yeah.
correct, correct. Yep, no, that's good enough. That's what selfless act means, where you have no personal profit from it, yet you still do that activity. Similarly, we should also dedicate all our activities for Krishna without any purpose for it. Now, why should we do this? Why are you telling to dedicate this activity, and why is this? And one more thing that is mentioned in this purport is by chanting of Krishna's names. So, why is this chanting of Krishna's name given? Now, before that, we need to understand how it used to work in the time when this when the shloka was given. Earlier in the Vedic society, there used to be Varna Ashrama Dharma. Now, basically, there were two orders. One was the social order and one was the spiritual order. Varna used to be the social order. Now, what is social order? It is the Brahman, the Kshatriya, the Vaishya, the Shudra. Now, in a society, if a person, so for example, needs to be healthy, what do we see? Okay, he has a healthy mind, he has healthy, limbs, his hands and legs are strong, his stomach is healthy. From if we see all of that, we say, okay, this person is healthy. Similarly, to see if society was healthy, people used to see all these things. So the Brahmin was the intellectual class, the intelligent class of men. They used to be considered the brains of the society. The Kshatriyas or the administrative side, or the the defense, the people who were politicians. Administrator means basically people who look after the welfare of the protection of the entire nation, the entire country. So they were the arms of the society. The Vaishyas were the stomach. Why are they stomach? Because they used to work in agricultural background. They used to look after economical development of the society. In earlier olden Vedic civilization, economic development meant agriculture, growing grains, protecting cow. Why was protecting cow? Because cow, through cow alone, so many food products came: ghee, milk, butter, you name it, everything came from a cow. So Vaishyas in Vedic society, their job was protection of cow, cultivating crops, looking after agriculture and economic welfare, tradesmen. And Shudras were the legs. Now, why were they the legs? They used to simply serve all these higher classes. Now, there is no such thing as higher class and lower class. All these classes need to exist together for the society to function. For example, if you have a healthy mind, if you have strong arms, you have a good healthy gut, but you have no legs, you're, langda, we say in Hindi, you can't walk, then what's the point? You're not a healthy person. Each and every part of that varna was as important as each other. They can't operate without each other. And depending on which varna you belong to, you had particular duties. For example, a kshatriya's duty, like Arjuna was a kshatriya, his duty was to fight for the protection of his country. The Kauravas were demonic minded people. They used to mistreat women, like Draupadi. They tried to strip her in front of the whole court. Krishna said that if these kind of people rule the world, imagine what will the fate be of religion, imagine what will the fate be of women. How can there be any sort of safety and security in the country? It will be in complete ruins. So Krishna wanted the Pandavas to fight. He didn't tell them, oh, you know what, let forget them, the fight keeps on happening, you leave that, you just mind your own business. He said, no, you must fight. That's why he told Arjuna, you fight because it's my order. Because Krishna was seeing the long term effects of it. He said that if the Pandavas win, people like Yudhishthir, who was so righteous, who was so religious, if they rule the country, the entire country will be in welfare. That's why the Kshatriya's duty was arms, to fight for the protection of their country. So, based on your Varna, you performed an activity. Now, all Varnas were dedicated to God. The Brahmins, the intellectual class, were basically people who spend their entire life for God realization. They used to educate people, they used to learn, read all these scriptures, they used to educate the other public about these scriptures. They used to, change the hearts of people by educating them on God, making them realize that all their activities at the end of the day need to be dedicated to God. A Kshatriya also used to perform all of the activities for God. For example, in South India, there was the Chola dynasty, and in Chola dynasty and the Shera dynasty. In those places, they were so God conscious that the kings used to not even consider themselves a king. On the throne, they used to have an idol of Vishnu, and they used to simply act as the order keepers of Vishnu. They used to not consider themselves as God, as king, even though they had the title of king. They used to consider themselves the order takers of the God, and they used to perform all their actions as per God. That, oh, God wants the welfare of society like this. The people should be fed. Everything should be look after. They used to work for the welfare of the entire society. In today's time, that is completely gone. There's no such thing as Varna. Why? Because everybody is doing it, from politicians, from even intellectual people. Everybody is doing it for their own selfish desire. What are intellectual people? Your doctors, your philosophers, your philanthropists, everybody are performing activities just to make their pockets big, how to earn money or how to get some sort of reputation. Everybody is greedy and selfish, and when people don't dedicate their activities to God, the society becomes sinful, the society becomes unrighteousness, and then all negative effects start taking over. And that's why we see today's time there's so much depression, anxiety, mental health issues. Why is that? Because people have lost their God consciousness, their original identity with God. All their activities are simply to satisfy their false ego, simply to for their own material desires. Krishna hence is advising Arjun, and he says that if you dedicate your activities to me, first of all, you will eradicate all sinful activities and you will attain me, which is the purpose of our life. Otherwise, we might enjoy temporary for some time, but eternally our karmas add up. Like a businessman, I've seen so many cases where businessmen, they, steal plot of land from people, they kill the villagers and they try to steal that land, and they create big factories which are giving out toxic gases in the environment, killing so many wildlife animals. And they are thinking they're temporarily making money, and they think that, wow, I'm so profitable, I'm so happy. But what they don't know is their karmic account is getting built up, and at one point they will have to face all the consequences that they've gone through. Nobody can completely break free of their karma. Karma is like the bond that is causing us to be born and reborn again. The only way to break this karmic cycle is through God, attaining Godhead. Once you dedicate your life and your activities to God, immediately God takes away all your karma. Now, that is the Varna Ashrama. All activities done based on the social order you've got. If you're a Kshatriya, you'll protect. If you're a Brahmin, you'll educate. If you're a Vaishya, you'll cultivate crops and protect the cows for economic development. If you're Shudra, you'll work and do labor to, serve. That is what was Varna. And Ashrama means the spiritual order. Now, what is spiritual order? There are four ashramas. One is the Grihastha ashrama, which all of us are. Grihastha means householders, people who have families. Some of us may have wife, children, husband. Basically, we stay in a house and we perform our duties. And it's family householders, which most of the present society is Grihasthas. Then there is Brahmacharis. Now, what are Brahmacharis? Brahmacharis are people who renounce the family life, and they are simply students for God realization. They, give up family life and they move into an ashrama, a gurukul, and they are trained by their spiritual master, and they spend their entire life dedicated to God realization. That is brahmachari. Then there is vanaprastha, retired life. So ideally, how it would work is a child from very young age, he used to become a brahmachari. That means he used to go into a gurukul, he used to have a spiritual master, and they used to train him on God realization, on scriptures, and they used to spend their entire life. At the age of 25, the student can go to his spiritual master, and with his blessings and permission, he can choose to go into a grihastha ashrama, which basically means after 25 the person can choose to get married and have a wife. Or else, a lot of people used to stay brahmachari only. That means they used to not take a wife, not take a family. They used to continue to dedicate their life to spiritual understanding, to God realization. And then there comes vanaprastha, where a person after reaching 50, he becomes into the retired order of life, where he gives up. If he was a grihastha also, after 50 they are recommended to become vanaprastha, retired, where they give up their family life and they travel around to collect as much spiritual benefit that they can. They used to travel to dhams, they used to read scriptures. So you see a lot of old people, they who go into vanaprastha, they'll be traveling from dham to dham, they'll be spending their entire day reading spiritual books. So that is what vanaprastha means. And then there's sannyas. Sannyas is one who has no more material ties, no more material attachments. He simply travels from place to place, spreading the knowledge of God, spreading the name of God. We see so many sannyasis like Srila Prabhupada, who started this entire Hare Krishna movement. He was a sannyasi. He traveled from country to country, spreading the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, spreading the knowledge of Bhagavatam. Basically, sannyasis are those who spread the knowledge of God. Now, what has all of this got to do with the verse today? Basically, based on your varna, the social class that you belong to, and your ashrama, the spiritual class you belong to, you perform your activities. And so basically, Kshatriya used to perform his activities, protection, but all the main point of all of this was God realization, performing it as a duty of God. All of them used to perform. Even the Vaishyas, they used to yield crops and all, and they used to perform it as a offering to God. The king, when the Brahmins, when they used to offer food, they used to collect it from the Vaishyas. It used to all work in a beautiful, perfectly designed order. However, in today's time, in Kali Yuga, if nothing of like this exists. Half the people don't know what varna, ashrama, dharma means. None of them know what is the purpose behind doing it. They're simply doing it for their own sense gratification, for their own pleasure. How can I make myself more wealthy? How can 10 people on Instagram tell me that I'm so cool, that I'm taking photos in front of Burj Khalifa and sitting in front of fancy cars? How can 10 people like me? How can I wear some fancy clothes? How can I get? It's all selfish material desires. Simply working hard day and night. I see people working in jobs, two jobs, three jobs, day and night, night shift, morning shift. Eyes have become dark because of overworking. They try to get as much money as they can, but they have no purpose. They're just doing it simply because they think that there's some sort of pleasure in it, and blindly like a rat, they're stuck in that same loop. And they have no aim, they have no ambition. They're simply doing it for some sort of sense pleasure, some sort of temporary pleasure, where I'll make some money, then I will try to enjoy in some way. And what enjoyment? Whole week you have, worked, you've gone crazy working. There's dark circles under your eyes so much. Your entire life is like slogging like a donkey, but you are not able to realize that there's no pleasure also. You've gone through so much pain, but 2 seconds, like people will sit and drink in the bar, and they'll forget about the whole week's hard work that they've done, and they'll think, I'm so peaceful, I'm so pleasure. That's illusion. They're under illusion. So that's what happens when people have no sort of purpose, no sort of aim and ambition. They don't know the purpose behind activities. None of us know the purpose behind activities. We just make up our own ideas. Why am I studying? You ask half the people, they say, Arey, I have to do, that's what I'm doing. They don't really know. They're doing degrees, course, and all that. If you ask them also, it's some sort of self gratification that they're trying to do. Oh, because I will have a good position, and then 10 people in my family will clap for me and say, wow, look at our guy, he's so popular. It's some sort of self appreciation that we're trying to do it for, self gratification, sense gratification. But in reality, we are missing the purpose of doing everything. The purpose in Vedic society, why things used to function so beautifully, was everybody knew that the aim and objective of all activities was God, was for the pleasure of God. Just like if you have a hand, your thumb is connected to the hand, and as long as the thumb is connected to the hand is useful, because now it can cooperate with the hand, it can aid in the hand's use. Like if you want to pick up something, your thumb can be a part of it. But if you chop off your thumb and you keep your thumb separately, individually, if I just remove your thumb and I give it to you like that, it has no use because it's separated. Similarly, when a living being, an jiva, an atma, which we are, when we are separated from God, we are have no use. That's why we are suffering. As long as we are part of it, we can perform in the will of God, we can perform in the plan of God, because everything is going as per the will of God, everything is going as per the plan of God. We have no idea how this universe was created, how everything is going on, but as long as we perform in the plan of God, we are successful. That is the aim and objective of our life. As long as the thumb is functioning with the hand, it's a success. If it's removed, it's simply suffering. It's no. That's why when the soul is separated from God, it tries to operate individually away from God for their own sense gratification. They are in suffering. So all these ashramas, all these varnas knew that the aim and the end objective of life was God, service to God. That's why our spiritual leaders, our gurus have said, Jiva Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das, which means Jiva, soul, Swarup, soul's actual essence, soul's actual nature. What we truly are is not, we are not this name and this body and these nationalities, like I am Nepali, I am Indian. We are none of that. That is all titles that we have collected over the time. Our actual nature, who we really are, is not this body, is not this mind, is not this intelligence. We are servants of Krishna. We are part and parcel of Krishna. Henceforth, our life is for the serving of Krishna, to aid him in his plan. That is what our role in society is. And as long as we are doing that, if our mind and intelligence is constantly fixed on Krishna, if we are constantly thinking, how can I use this in service of Krishna? How can I? That's why if you see in Krishna consciousness, what does Krishna consciousness mean basically? Krishna consciousness means that using our consciousness, who we really are, our soul, our desires, we completely focus that on Krishna. Then henceforth, all our activities naturally become spiritualized, naturally become pleasure for God, and then we reach our eternal blissful state, which is souls actually are. Soul is naturally happy, and soul's actual desire is to be happy. We all, if you ask a businessman also, that supposing what do you want to do to chill out, he will say, oh, I want to sit in the beach, relax, have a drink, and just enjoy the sound of the waves and all. Basically everybody's looking for pleasure. Even the most hardest working guy is looking for pleasure, just that they don't know where to find pleasure. They think that there's pleasure in all of this, but it's not giving them pleasure. It's the soul's natural desire to have pleasure. And when we perform our activities for God, naturally we are in pleasure. Why? Because that's our original. When we act according to our role, we naturally are happy. We are naturally perfecting our life because we are doing our duties as we are supposed to. This human body is given for understanding this, for realizing this. That's why we have got such high intelligence compared to any other animal, because our entire object of human life is understanding that we are servants of God, we are the eternal aids of God, and our happiness lies in the happiness in service to God. That's why you'll see when you help out some like I was seeing this interview of a lawyer. He was telling me that in India what people do is these street beggars, they find a lot of children in adoptions, like small 5-year-old children, and they'll like get a needle and they'll puncture their eye and cut off their hand, so that when they go on the streets to beg, people have sympathy towards them, that oh, look at this poor kid, he's begging for money, he doesn't have an eye, he doesn't have an arm. And then with sympathy they give them money, and that was a whole mafia that was running. They used to get small children, they used to, either kidnap them, or if they were, orphans, they used to pick up these orphan kids, puncture their eye, chop off their limb, and then throw them on the road. And you say they begged in the hot sun, like 36 degrees, 37 degrees hot sun. They used to get whatever money they used to get, rupees they used to get. These guys used to take it, and for in return, they used to give them some basic amount of food. That was a whole mafia going on. And there was this one lawyer who found this entire scam going on. And what he did was he spent his entire thing. Nobody paid him. Lawyers usually are appointed by a client and they get paid to do some sort of service. But this lawyer, he went out of his way to help these people. He did all the investigation, he got all the evidence, and he presented it in court. He didn't make any money from it, but he spent like 20 years of his life just dedicated to helping these out. And he said at the end, when he won the case after 20 years of struggle and finding evidence, he won the case. These mafia were caught, they were arrested, and so many children were saved. There was a small girl who came to him outside the court and gave him one chocolate. She was like a poor girl, and she was so happy with the justice that the lawyer provided us. She said, I am very poor, this is all I can offer you, but I'm so grateful to you because you have saved so many of our lives. And thousands of children stood outside the court, and they were looking at that lawyer like and folding their hands with so much gratitude. And the lawyer started tearing up, and he said, that was the happiest moment of my life. That was when I actually felt true joy. Otherwise, I spent my whole life, I have big BMW car and this and that. I got big clients to pay me money to do that. But the first time in my life when I did something where I had no profit, nobody was paying me to do it, I simply did it because I knew God will be happy if I do this. I did this. That was the happiest moment of my life. I can do this throughout my life. And he started tearing up in the interview. So that just goes to show you can practically experience this. If you do something and it completely changes the other way, you help a friend out who's in depression, you talk him, you give him some sort of encouragement, some sort of motivation, it gives you so much happiness. If you are working and you try to, instead of spending money to you buy some stupid shirt which is on sale, or some shoes which is on sale, you just give that same money, you send it to your parents. If they are in Nepal, you send them that money back to your parents. They'll feel so happy that, wow, look at my child, they worked so hard in a foreign country and they're giving us money. And do it as a service to God. That will give you the true happiness, the real happiness that we are all looking for. That's what Krishna is also saying. And what is the end result? What is the end goal? Every action that we need to do, there needs to be some sort of end goal. Like in a football match, if I remove the goal post, and people are just kicking the ball around, you'll say, why? What are you doing? What is the aim of this? They'll be like, Arey, chalo khelte hai, let's just play. Who cares? That does not work. There has to be a goal for everything. That's why if we keep the goal as attaining Godhead, as going back to Godhead, going back to our true essence, because we have come on this material platform also as a form of separation from God, and in this separation we are suffering. But once we go back to Godhead, once we realize God and we go back to Godhead, we are in this. God is described as Sat Chit Ananda, eternal truth and full of blissfulness. Eternal means because everything is temporary. This body is temporary. One day you're going to die, I'm going to die, your family is going to die. It's a nature of law. Everybody who's born in this material world is going to die. Everything that you've collected in your lifetime will go at one point. Nothing is permanent. Neither your job, neither your money, neither nothing, your house, neither your car, nothing is permanent. Everything is going to go. So what is eternal? That is God. What is truth? We always believe, we take so many false identities as our truth. I am Nepali, I am Ayush, I am this, I am that, I am this position of the job. We believe all of these false identities, but at the time of death people realize that none of this was actually me, but by that time it's too late. So that is truth. God is truth. That God is the original identity who we actually are. And ananda, blissfulness. Everybody in this material world is miserable at one point or not. They're eventually going to be miserable. Why? Because this birth is a painful process for every living entity. Death, everybody is going to die. Death is said at the time of death, when your soul leaves the body, is equal to 10,000 scorpions biting you. Imagine. I don't know if you've been bit by even one scorpion, but I can tell you for a fact it's not a very fun job. It's not a very pleasure job. It's very painful. And imagine being bitten by 10,000 of scorpions. It's very, you can not even imagine how painful it can be. Then it is old age. At old age, I've seen in Western countries, in India and Nepal at least, we have this family structure is still strong. So we usually have like grandparents staying with us, parents staying with us, everybody stays in one unit. But in Western countries, I've seen old people are just thrown into some sort of old age home where they spend their entire day watching TV, playing with some toys, playing cards, no one to talk to, no one to think about anything, and eventually they get all sorts of mental problems like dementia, schizophrenia. Why? Because they're spending their time lonely. Not only that, not only mental, social problems, they also have physical problems. Back is broken, limbs are not working, arthritis, diabetes, so many headaches. I know one guy who was like 80 plus used to take how many? 27 medicines a day. Imagine how difficult that would be. So every 2 minutes he needs to have a medicine and drink water. And so many restrictions. Can't eat this, can't eat that, can't walk properly. It's a very troubling time. And old age and disease. You go to any hospital, you see the cancer patients over there. The coughing, blood is coming out of their mouth. They're in a serious condition. Jaundice, cholera. Then what is the today's cancer patients? Such a sad life. They can't walk. Each and every muscle in their body is in too much pain. Imagine if you have like one swelling over here, how painful it is. Imagine if your whole body starts paining like that, what will you be? That's how cancer patients are. There are tumors in the stomach, they can't eat, they're coughing up blood. It's terrible, it's complete misery. And we think that there is enjoyment in this material world. There can never be enjoyment in this material. This material world is defined by pain, by misery. So when we attain Godhead, when we make our end goal realization of God, God is Sat Chit Ananda, eternal truth and blissfulness. Blissfulness means the joy, the extreme pleasure that we get, the happiness, the state that we all want to be in, the state that even the businessman sitting on the beach wants that same sort of pleasure that a person who is, trying to like drink alcohol, and everybody wants that pleasure, but they're not getting it in this material world. It's like you are looking for gold coin, but you're looking it in a muddy area. You won't find it. You need to go to, I hope you get the point. Like you need to find it in the correct way. Not if you go in dirt and you expect to find gold, it's not going to happen. Similarly, we need to keep our end goal as attaining Godhead. And Krishna very clearly says, if your mind and intelligence is fixed on me, if every activity that you do, if your desire is to attain Godhead, naturally your intelligence also will work to attain Godhead. Right now, if your desire, like for most of us who are international students, our desire is what? How do I get PR? How do I get a better job? How do I make enough money so I can help this and that? How do I pay off this rent? Those are the kind of our mind is completely occupied in that. But if we simply keep our mind engaged in one thought, how do I serve Krishna? The rest, all of it is automatically taken care of. Because Krishna, the God, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is three things. He is the supreme proprietor. Proprietor means he owns everything. Everything in this world is operating by his will. If your activities are dedicated to him, naturally all the small issues that he has, he will automatically take care of it. I have practical example. If you don't believe me, go to the ISKCON temple and ask any of them. So many people came from financially struggling backgrounds, job problems, this, that. They simply did one thing, they dedicated their life to Krishna. All these things naturally fell into place. It happened with me as well. I've seen so many people that it's happened to. Then Krishna is the supreme father. He's the person that at the end of the day we can rely on. He's the person. What does a father do? Father encourages the child, pushes the child. That's what Krishna also does. He always wants the best for us. And Krishna is the supreme friend. Supreme friend is one we can blindly trust, we can rely on, who has good intentions for us. Krishna has the best intentions for us. So once we perform those activities to attain him, then at the end of the day, when our mind and intelligence is completely fixed on him, we will attain Krishna without a doubt. We will go back to the spiritual platform, the platform where we actually began. And like I said, in today's times, there's no such thing as Varna Ashrama Dharma. Nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows what the prescribed duty is. Nobody knows what should I do. So then in this age, what is the recommended duty that we can do? And that is given chanting of Krishna's name. So Krishna in the Kali Yuga, the present age, where people's mind and intelligence is deteriorating, where people are age is reducing, intelligence is reducing, people are unable to understand scriptures, anything like that. In that age, Krishna reincarnated in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he simplified it. Instead of giving us complex scriptures, he simply said, chant the holy name of God. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we chant this name of God, it is as good as interacting with God, because God is on the absolute platform, which means that God is non-different from his name, God is non-different from his scriptures, God is non-different from his activities, from his pastimes. If you listen to Krishna Katha, that is equal to being in contact with Krishna. If you chant the names of God, that is equal to being in contact with Krishna. If you do darshan of Krishna in the temple, that is equal to being in contact with Krishna. If you eat prasadam, which is basically mercy of Krishna, it is equal to, it's like tasting Krishna. That is how powerful Krishna is. Krishna is in the absolute platform. He's in everything and anything and everything. Once you spiritualize all your activities, it naturally, your mind and intelligence is absorbed in Krishna. That's what Krishna consciousness means. Everything in Krishna consciousness is dedicated. We offer food to Krishna, we absorb, we eat it in in the form of prasadam. While eating prasadam also, the person thinks, oh my god, this is the mercy of Krishna, and they take that prasadam. When they're doing activities, they do it as service to Krishna. When they're singing songs, they chant the names of Krishna in the form of kirtan. But out of all of this, the simplest and the most practical thing in this age is chanting the name of Krishna. All of us have a tongue and all of us can chant. Instead of talking of nonsense things throughout the day, we can simply engage our tongue in using and chanting these names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Simply, if we engage our tongue, we can naturally, Krishna, our mind and intelligence will be fixed on Krishna, and all these minute problems in life will be taken care of. For example, if you are struggling to pay $1,000 rent monthly, but then all of a sudden, if you find $1 million job, a job that's paying you $1 million a month, then all these small problems, if you have facing, I can't pay $10,000 rent, I have to buy $10 groceries, it's so expensive, this. But second, you have $1 million, all these small problems are not even existing in front of you, you won't even consider them. Similarly, if you fix the main problem, which is our separation from God, all these small problems, a job not happening, family trouble, this tension, that tension, all of it will automatically be taken care. And the simplest way to dedicate our mind and intelligence on Krishna is chanting the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This chanting of the holy name can render the benediction to all living beings simply by listening to it. If you can't, supposing, first of all of us can chant. You may not even chant loudly, you can chant quietly while you're sitting at work, you can do Okay, or else you can listen to Krishna, somebody chanting Krishna, listen to kirtans. Just by listening, that sound vibration is so powerful that automatically it doesn't allow your mind and intelligence to divert. It fix the mind and intelligence to the original state, on Godhead, and then naturally the person feels blissful. That's why in Prabhupada, when he went to America and he preached to hippies were people who were miserable because they were in all sorts of drug abuse and alcohol and this and that. But when they started chanting the name of Krishna, they stopped doing all of that. Why? Because that's the pleasure that they thought they'll get from alcohol and drugs. They started getting thousand times pleasure in chanting the name of God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he used to chant Hare Krishna, tears used to fall out of his eyes in ecstasy. He used to feel that happy. Imagine feeling so happy that tears are falling out of your eyes, jumping up and down. That's the symptoms if we simply chant Hare Krishna. So that is my request to all of you. We in our practical life in Western countries, with our job and everything, two things we can do is, first, dedicate the result of all our activities to Krishna. If you work hard all day, it may not even be a job which you can somehow directly relate to Krishna, but at the end of the day, whatever result you have, you can dedicate to Krishna. That Krishna, I'm working hard for your pleasure. I did all of this work and I offer the results to you. And then second thing is, we can simply chant even throughout the day. In the job, every hour or so, we can simply chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Even if you're a student, it's so good for your attention as well. If you chant in the morning and then you go about your college, your studies, everything will be taken care of, because your mind will be fixed. It will not be diverted. Otherwise, the mind is jumping on 10 places. So we can simply chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And second is, read the Bhagavad Gita. Because when we have the knowledge, when we have reading the Bhagavad Gita, each and every shloka is like embracing Krishna. Krishna will be stuck in your mind because this is the knowledge that's coming out of God. So each and every verse in the Bhagavad Gita is so powerful that just by reading it, we are burning millions and millions of years of sins. So we should endeavor in reading the Bhagavad Gita so that our mind doesn't go astray. Our mind is fixed, our mind is focused, and told by Krishna, our activities, mind, and intelligence is fixed on me, and then we can achieve our end goal. What is the end goal? To attain Krishna, Krishna Prapti, attaining Godhead, going back to Godhead. So, given the time, I will end today's class. I hope what I said made sense. And end lesson that we all should take from this is, simply chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You do just this much every hour in your work. You can chant it. It's not like somebody's going to take money from you because you're chanting. It's free of cost. You have your tongue inside your mouth. You can chant anytime you want. Simply do this. You will naturally see that you are now not a bhatki hui atma, like we say in Hindi. You're not a wandering soul. Now you have a purpose, you have an aim of life, you feel that natural blissfulness that you are so desperately looking for, and all these minor problems will be taken care of. So Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Suman, Sushil, and I forgot the other Prabhu's name, but thank you all for joining. Hope you could learn something, and if you guys have any questions or any corrections for me, please unmute and let me know. And if not, then we can end today's class. So any questions? Priya, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just had one question. Like, how we say, like, dedicating our action to Krishna. So I get the concept of, like, if we are eating, we can give it as a prasadam to the Krishna, and add everything, like our morning rituals, our, like, cleaning the house, or like from work. The main thing I am still not getting is, like, how do we dedicate our work to Krishna? Like, after working we get money, right? We can dedicate that money to Krishna as, like, as a offering, like, or we can donate some. But the actual work we do when we are working our, like, 8 hour shift, on that time, on those 8 hours, how do we dedicate those 8 hours to Krishna?
Correct.
I'm still
So,
confused on that
gotcha.
one.
No, I had the same doubt initially also. I also had the same question when I started. So, what we can do is, first of all, we should know when those 8 hours when we are working hard on a shift, we are doing some sort of sacrifice. We are sacrificing our time, we are sacrificing our energy, we are sacrificing our resources. And when we do this work, even though it may not have anything to relate, I used to work in a kitchen, then I started working in an IT company, none of these things can be directly connected to Krishna. So then how do you dedicate this activity? You can go about your work, you can do your entire day's work, and then at the end of the work you can simply close your eyes and say, Krishna, I dedicate this activity to you. That is how simple it is. We think that we need to do this big austerity or give up our job and all that. No, simply you can, with a simple heart, go and offer the results of your work to Krishna. Again, what money you make, you offer in charity. But what work you do, even the hard work and the effort that you've put in, you can offer that also to Krishna, because Krishna is in your heart. Krishna knows all your desires and your reasons. If your mind and your intelligence is absorbed in Krishna, everything that you do will be spiritualized. Everything that you do will be a service to Krishna. So if Krishna, you can say that Krishna, this 8 hours I really worked hard, I'm feeling tired, I put in all my energy. First of all, work sincerely, whatever job it is. Doing our job, doing our dharma is also a spiritual activity. Don't think that spiritual activity only means going to the temple or only means eating prasadam. Working and doing our duties, working hard. If you're a lawyer, you go and study law. If you are an accountant, you do that. If you are working, even if you're doing simple cleaning job, that's also your duty, because this world needs to function. The smallest contribution you can make matters. So don't think that any work is less, and your duty, doing your duty sincerely and hard, in a hard working spirit, without any material gain or without any selfish greed and desire. If we do that, we work very hard, we work very sincerely, and then at the end of our work, we simply close our eyes and we offer it to Krishna, that this hard work, this energy that I've invested, I offer it to you. Krishna will accept, because Krishna says also, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo Me Bhakta Prayachati, which means that anything that one offers, leaf, water, fruits, and even activities, anything that one offers with love and devotion, he accepts. So if we do that work, and at the end, whatever work we do, we offer that, Krishna accepts it. That work automatically becomes spiritualized. It is very simple. One thing that people are unable to digest is, why is it so simple? People think that God realization and Krishna, like understanding God and all, we need to go to the Himalayas and sit in tapasya and put our leg behind our head and all that nonsense. But I was, and one Prabhu told me this very interesting analogy. He said that supposing you are walking in the hot sun and you get this weakness, you get dehydration, and you go to the doctor and you say that I've walked so long and I'm feeling sick, I need some sort of medicine, do a special operation on me or give me some injection which will cure my weakness. And the doctor looks at you and he knows, he does a diagnosis and he says that no, nothing, you've just dehydrated, you should drink some water, you should drink some lemonade to hydrate yourself. But we again go back to the doctor, no, 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 what do you mean water? I didn't travel all this way just to hear that I can drink water and be fine. Give me an injection, give me an injection. We don't need to do these overcomplicated hard things. Just doing the simple things correctly is what will give us what we're looking for, give us God realization. Simply work sincerely, live a simple life. Don't try to overcomplicate your life. Simple, dedicated life. Do, if you are working, work. If you're studying, study, and dedicated to God. Do it happily. If you have a family, look after them. All of them also are spiritual activities. God has given you everything that you have got is given by God. Even the job that you've got is given by God. And then obviously with that money also you can dedicate it to God. You can say, I'm using this money, I will do some charity, I will do some service, I will give you, I will donate some money in the temple. You can always use, you don't need to put all your money in the temple, even a small amount. It makes your, the hard work and everything you've done dedicated to God. And in the process, you're interacting with God and your mind and intelligence is also absorbed in God. So in that way, whatever job we do, whatever studies we do, our daily duties can also be absorbed. For example, Arjuna was killing people. Now, nobody in their world would think that killing people, shooting an arrow on people is a spiritual activity. But Krishna tells him exactly that you shoot your arrow, you kill people, and that is a spiritual activity. You will attain Godhead after killing people. Imagine, that's how liberal Krishna is. Krishna is a very practical, liberal God. He's very understanding. So we don't need to do some sort of tapasya and some sort of austerity and go to the Himalayas. Simply go about our daily activities, do it sincerely, do it hardworking, don't cheat anything, don't do your job as you're supposed to do it with a sincere heart, and offer the work at the end with love and devotion to Krishna, and it will be successful. Naturally, you will see, you will also feel much more calm and happy at your job. Otherwise, people who are doing their job for material grade, they're never satisfied. For 2 days, that's why people in Australia and all, I see people, they change their jobs every 3 months because they're not able to satisfy satisfy themselves after a point. The selfish desires keep on increasing, and then they're looking, how do I get more money so I can buy more this, more that, and in the process they're full of anxiety all the time. They're stressing on this. Simple life, simple living, high thinking, that's the philosophy we used to use. So Priya, in short, what we can do is work with full dedication, with full sincerity, and whatever work we do, it does not matter what type of work we do, as long as it's pious. Like, obviously, if you are selling cigarettes to people, selling alcohol to people, chopping animals, those are, you'll still attain sin. But apart from that, if you do any daily activity, job, Krishna knows that we need, in this world to survive, we need to work. So you go about your work and you offer the hard work to Krishna, that all this hard work that I've done, Krishna, I've done it for you. In that way, our mind is also absorbed in Krishna, and our work also spiritualized, and we get positive outcome. So I hope that answers your question, Priya.
Okay,
Yes.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else has any question? Suman, I saw you turn off your camera. Are you out somewhere? If not, then if you have any questions, you can let me know. Or have you gone offline? I think he's gone offline. Anyways, we'll end the class. It's 8 o'clock. Thank you all for joining. Next Wednesday. So this is the structure that we follow. I'll send a verse so you guys can just have a read through, and then next Wednesday we can talk about it. Actually, we had other people as well, but I think there was a last moment Zoom meeting issue. That's why we couldn't work it out. But next week I'll just look after this so that there's no last moment issues. So thank you all for joining. Hope you could learn something, and please forgive if I said anything wrong today. And please remember, simply chant Hare Krishna and be happy. All right, Hare Krishna. You guys can unmute, say Hare Krishna, and log out of the class. Thank you. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.